What are the things that you need to do to get you to where you need to be? If I could veer off from science to risk management, which is not science, and also try as much as possible.
I would like to start by letting you introduce yourself.
Great. So, as you have already mentioned, my name is Felicitas Nwachi. I am an operational risk professional with over 10 years of experience in the financial sector. But it didn't start there in operational risk, right? So I started my career in the banking industry back home in Nigeria. And it was from what we call operations. So I think here in Canada, we call it advisors per se, right? So I was able to go through the banking operations, support, the customers/members in making sure that, their queries were answered or their transactions were completed, basically. And then in 2012, I met my husband, and because he was in IT, I had to leave operations so that there is no connivance or fraud, right? And that's how I got into risk management. But it was good to have that second level experience because I was in the first line and I was more like being dictated to do stuff, right? But now we have the opportunity to see things in a different light and be able to manage certain situations and provide guidance to people, basically. So, yeah.
Wow, fantastic. You mentioned your husband is an IT professional, so that's caught my attention because I too am an IT professional. So that was a good one. Fantastic. So I did a little research. You have the Canadian risk management designates.
Yes.
That's a fantastic achievement. You have, many years of banking experience, both in Nigeria and here in Canada. And you're one of the top management staff in a financial institution here in Canada. I mean, all these things didn't just come overnight. It took some years of hard work, education, and all of those things.
Yes.
I keep telling our younger ones that education is not a scam. I mean, people have, gone through the journey and you're one of them. You're here today. Your story is going to inspire a lot of people that whatever you're going through, just keep pushing because there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely.
I'm really excited having you today. In all of these things that, you've just mentioned, the years of experience, both, in Africa and North America, globally, I would say you're a global professional. Looking back, how do they make you feel today?
Well, I think it's really a privilege to be where I am today. But having to get here is more of hard work and intentionality, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't start as a risk manager. That was not the path that I wanted to tour. Right from when I was born. I wanted to be a doctor, right? And so because I was science inclined, I felt that, I could do that. But you know how it is.
Everybody had that growing up, being a doctor kind of dream.
So things just didn't work out. But somehow I got into geology, right? And somehow I was like top of the class in my set. But then there was this thing of, trying to get this job in the oil industry. I thought, okay, because I just had my BSc, probably I should go for my master's. I went for my master's. There was still nothing out there for me, right? And so because the banking industry then was booming back in Nigeria, that was the only place that you could actually get something doing. And I just applied and I was privileged to be picked amongst thousands of people. If I remember correctly, were a lot of people that day just wanting to get that opportunity to be assessed and, interviewed, And so I think my takeaway is it doesn't really matter the path you wanted to tow, right? It's just being intentional. When you get to that place where you find yourself, what are the things that you need to do to get you to where you need to be, right? Because if I could veer off from science to risk management, which is not science, and
Yeah.
also try as much as possible to make impact, then anything is achievable.
Absolutely.
That's just it, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. So two things, from being a geologist to being a risk manager. And I think the risk management aspect, to me, it's more like, revolves around every discipline, irrespective. So that was, that caught my attention there. Then the other piece was the, medical doctor kind of thing. Everybody kind of experienced it.
Yeah.
I went to, my high school was a science school. It was specifically for sciences. And everybody was like, oh, you have to study medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, I give it to doctors, don't get me wrong. But once growing up, you were on the science side, everybody just wanted you to, go into, the medical line, which is fantastic. That's good. So, you somehow talked about the professional piece. How did your growing up influence all of these things? I just want to know the growing up piece. I know the parenting, sometimes African parents would like their children to toe this path. And how, talk me through your growing up and how that's influenced this whole journey.
Yeah. My dad really believes in education, and probably because he didn't have the opportunity to go to school. And so he wanted to make sure that at least the children that he had the basic education. And the way he taught us was there is a price for excellence.
Interesting.
Right? And so for every time that you had to show your report card, there was something that was going to come with it. So there was healthy competition between us siblings to say, okay, and because, back home in Nigeria, there is always positions attributed to your efforts.
Exactly.
Right? So if my father pegged it at the first three, if you're able to come first three, then there is whatever you want, he's going to give it to you. So there was always a price tag, and my siblings and I always wanted something. And so we had to work hard to make sure that we got whatever it is that we wanted, right? So that was really what helped me. So I had to put myself in that situation to say, I need to be the best. I need to make my dad proud. I need to get this particular thing. And so what do I need to do? I need to study. And I needed to make the right set of friends. Back in school, I was called the bookworm. I didn't see myself as a bookworm really, because I felt like I was a little bit on the social side. Yeah. But when it came to studying, I didn't take it as any other thing, but very seriously, right? So, and fortunately for me, I went to a boarding school in secondary school, which gave us that time to organize ourselves. So we had to have prep, we had to have siesta, so everything was kind of structured for you. So you're able to do things when you're supposed to do it, right? And you hold yourself accountable, because then your results speak for it and all that. So that was what influenced me to, help myself and live intentionally, to say, okay, I need to achieve this, not really because of my dad, but because I know where he's taking me to, right? Yeah. And so I try to apply the same rule for my children here as well, to say there is benefit when you are successful, right? And for you to be successful, you need to have the right education, the right set of people around you, and, living intentionally.
My goodness, you swept me off my feet. Like, I need to give a shout out to your dad, and because that strategy actually works. When you were talking about that, it was like you talking to me, because that's the strategy I believe in, and we use that for our children as well. Yeah. Because if you the way I look at it is, if you need a gift, I also need a gift from you.
Sure. Symbiotic.
Exactly. So the gift I need from you is, because you're in school, I need the good grades.
Yeah.
So every good grade has something attached to it. I extended it to my nephews and nieces and all of those things. I think it works, at least to help the kids know that, well, there's a price tag to excellence. There's a price tag to academic performance.
Yeah.
At least within the period that, they're still growing, because primary school, secondary school, it's just the education. That's all that is before them, So, I mean, I really, please, my viewers, this is fantastic. Like, she nailed it. This is a good strategy. I know most parents probably adopted this and it really works well.
Yeah,
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, looking at this, I just want to know, what was that, maybe in your high school, you went to Federal Government Girls College. Abuloma.
Yeah.
So if you're how do you call Abulomites, or the alumni of
anything like
FGGC?
most of the time it's just pro-unitati, right? We try to use our symbols and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, shout out to you guys. And please, you have to watch this podcast, okay? So I give it to them. What was your greatest moment in high school? Like, what, just...
Yeah, I would say that my greatest moment was when I came back to school in SS1, I believe, after I went through surgery, right? So when I was getting into school, there's always this, you have to go for x-rays, do all the medical checkups just to be sure that you're in the right, spot, medically. And so that was where we found that I had scoliosis. So that's extra curvature of the spinal cord. And so meaning that if it wasn't treated, then the person would probably be slanted a little bit, right? And all. And so going in and out of, medical checkups and all. So my parents allowed me to finish my GSC so that it doesn't impact me. And so, I got into SS1. But I had to miss school for like 3 months because I had to go for surgery and, of course, recovery, right? And all that. So I think the highlight for me basically is when I came back, I was scared of repeating a class because I had missed a whole term and there are 3 terms in a session, right? So I was very scared and I just had to put in the work. And fortunately for me, it was remarkable that the little effort I thought I put in gave me the highest success I ever thought I would have.
Fantastic.
Like, it was more like being the best, just not just in my class, but in the whole of SS1. And it was eye-opening, right? And it was surprising to me, but I had to kind of bask in that success because it was more like my fear was no longer there, right? The fear of failure and all that, I was able to overcome it by being intentional, basically, right? So I feel that's the highlight of my secondary school, the fact that I could come back, bounce back, and still get the honors. And not honors, but, like that success and, damn failure. Like, failure is nothing, right? If you really put your mind to something. I think that would be my highlight. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I love that. You've actually, your stories are very inspiring. So I know there are a lot of younger ones, that will be, watching this podcast and probably at their high school grade, some university, wanting to get into university and all of those things in different stages, probably struggling or doing well. And like, what message specifically do you have for them?
I think failure is part of success, right? That's how I see it.
Wow.
And so it doesn't matter how many times you have failed, as long as you're able to pick yourself up, realize your mistakes, and not want to do them again, That's it. You also need to have the right circle of friends, right? I think there are different friends for different stages of life. So if you are saying that this is what I want to be, then you have to have those circle of people that have the same mindset, the same values, the same thoughts, the same direction, right? The same motives, everything. It has to align. And if you're the best in your circle of friends, you're in the wrong circle of friends. I always tell my children, you can't be the best in your circle, because then you don't have anything to look up to. Yeah. There is no healthy competition for you. So you need to make sure that whoever is within your circle, there is someone that you're looking up to say, exactly. Why is John this way? How come Jason understands this more than myself, right? So you need people that will put you on that spot to want to be better. That's the advice I have for, the younger generation. Like, you can actually achieve anything, but don't be the best there, and make sure you have the right circle of people that can, lead you on to where you want to go. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love this. So, are there other things that, you would like to share that I haven't actually asked? Even though I still have one more question, maybe I should just ask now. For anybody in Canada, maybe wanting to go through the CRM designation, what advice, message do you have for them?
It's always good. I wouldn't say you have to go through CRM, because there are different certifications out there that can qualify you as a risk manager. I chose the Canadian risk management designation. So you can do different things depending on your focus, right? Because risk management is broad. But because mine is operational risk, which is a subset of risk management, that was why I chose that. So we have FRM, we have different types, right? But I would say that, so choose your path, right? What are you interested in, first of all, and do your research to say, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I need. And then make sure that you are going through the exercise with other people. For my CRM designation, we had like the academic work, and then we had the certification. So I had to go through like 2 different levels, of getting qualified before I got my designation, right? So you have to make sure that you have the right people, the same people that have the same interests and values with you, and you guys are able to talk things through. Luckily for us in this part of the world, we have groups, right? So you can have agile teams, you can have groups that you can converse with and throw up ideas, and people are trying to, tell you how they think things should go. Everybody has different perspectives and can bring it to the fore. So you can actually benefit from those things, especially for those areas that you may be struggling with, right? And so it's always good to have those group discussions. And then, of course, you do your own work as well and make sure that you are having that understanding and all that. So you always have to do your research. What part of risk management do you want to delve into? Look for what is appropriate for you and not something that would limit you, right? So you can walk across different industries. You're not just going to be in financial industry. You can go to a service industry. You can go to, different oil sectors. And gas, basically, right? So it's always best so that when you get tired of a certain sector, you can just dust off yourself and say, I want to go here because you're qualified and you have the experience, basically, right? So, yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. Okay, as we try to wrap up, is there anything that you would like to share that I haven't actually touched on?
Yeah, I think one of the things for people that maybe have left that education stage in terms of university or high school or whatnot, and they are going into the work experience, right? I think one of the things I would advise is in this part of the world, talking helps, right? I think back home, we were kind of timid and we were not probably encouraged to give or share our perspective. But here, it doesn't really matter whether you understand it or not. Even asking that question that is in your head is enough to stir up an action plan or a trigger for someone else, right?
Absolutely.
And it's able to bring you out to people that will be interested in your skill set to say, oh, okay, I think this lady or this guy has a fresh perspective and we can make use of them, right? That's one of the things that I am trying now to imbibe, because I have had years of experience back home. And so I know that back home, they probably tell you, oh, your leader has to be the one making the decisions. But here, anybody can be a manager. Anybody can be a leader, right? You first of all lead yourself before you even lead people. So how do you lead yourself? You need to be able to share your thoughts, share your perspectives. And there's no wrong questions. There's no right answers. Nobody knows it all. You'll be surprised when you share your perspective that your leader that you think knows it doesn't even understand that, right? So it's always good to share whatever it is that you have in a kind way and in a humble way, not wanting to force your way through things. But, once you do your research and you believe that what you're sharing would be impactful, then it's best to do so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. On the Chronicles of a Professional, we have a game, closing game that we usually play. Are you ready for the game?
I hope so.
Okay, I'll walk you through the rule of the game.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple here. So I have 3 cups and a ball. So each of these, they contain questions. There are questions in the cup. So I'm going to give you this ball. You roll. Whichever cup you hit, the question in there will be asked.
Okay.
So are you ready?
Yeah.
So you have 3 trials.
Okay. Uh-oh. Alignment. Uh-oh.
Okay.
So after the 3rd trial, what happens?
Management will sit and reconsider. There you go. Okay. 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 So the first question here is, who is Felicitas' role model?
I would say my mom is my role model. Yeah. And that's because she's just like, I think I'm just like her, basically, right? She taught me everything I know today.
I don't know why all the people that I've interviewed, mostly female, always say my mom.
Well, I think the moms have a very special role in the life of their children.
Yeah.
Like, they are always present.
Absolutely.
Right? So.
Yeah. Good. Okay. If Felicitas is not working, what else does she do for leisure?
I like to organize things. I like to plan things and coordinate things a lot. And I think that's a passion that I feel I need to probably harness better. But I do a lot of volunteering and just giving my time back to the community, basically. So, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. What's your favorite Nigerian food?
Beans and plantain.
I like that. You already have it figured. Yeah. 0 risk. Okay. Just before the final question, what's your perception of federal government colleges in Nigeria?
I think, at least when I was there, they were strong. They had very good education. They had good teachers, and they helped shape a lot of people, citizens like myself. I don't know how it is right now, basically, but I think I'm one of the people that were fortunate to have benefited from the educational system back then.
And you think the government should,
yeah, of course,
put in more effort in
of course, I think somehow things have fallen down the cracks, and maybe education is not really the focus right now, and a lot of people are going into private schools. Like, I know that when I was back home, my kids, we had to start with private school, and it was expensive, right? Not everybody has that privilege, right? So it's best for you to make it cost effective for families.
I agree. Okay, and the final question. If there is one thing you have the power to change on earth, what would that be?
For myself or the whole world?
The whole world.
The whole
You
world.
have the power. Whatever you say happens. And you have the power right now. What is that one thing you would like to change?
I like to change lies. I like honesty, right? I like people to just be true to themselves, basically, right? I don't like it when people are shady. I don't like when people are not just true, right? So if I had the power, I would want everybody to just be straight and narrow, right? Just go the right way and do the right thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. On this note, I would like to especially thank you for making our time to be here. We appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's my first